Good evening. This is the call to order for the regular Board of Aldermen meeting at the Salado Municipal Building, 301 North Stagecoach Road in Salado, Texas. The date is April 3rd, 2025, and the time is 6:30 p.m. Mr. De La Rosa, please call the roll.
Mayor and Alderman, all members are present. You have a quorum.
Thank you, sir. As we begin this Board of Aldermen meeting, let us take a moment to reflect on our shared commitment to serve the diverse community of the Village of Salado. We invite all present, regardless of faith, belief, or philosophy, to join us in a spirit of unity, respect, and compassion. May our deliberations be guided by wisdom, our decisions rooted in fairness, and our actions driven by the common good. Whether you find inspiration in a higher power, the bonds of humanity, or the wonders of nature, let us work together to build a culture where every voice is heard and every individual is valued. Let's take a moment, please. Thank you. Please stand and join us in the Pledge of Allegiance and salute to the Texas flag. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. The pledge of allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one indivisible. The first item on the agenda is a presentation. Do we have Ms. Horton's family? Ms. Horton's family? Come on up, please. I didn't know Ms. Hulda Horton as well as a lot of folks in this room did, but I knew enough to know that when she walked in the room, I knew who the boss was. When she came in there on Monday morning to get coffee and everybody cleared the path and gave her share, I knew who we were dealing with. So, how are you? I'm good. Yes, ma'am. Very nice to meet you. Thank you for being here. This is a proclamation, the state of Texas, Village of Salado. Whereas Hulda Horton selflessly dedicated 50 years of extraordinary voluntary service to the Village of Salado and its residents, and earned distinction as the first women's golf champion of Mill Creek, and later served as the president of the Mill Creek Ladies Golf Association. She faithfully served as secretary for the Salado Civic Center, where her office was known by the sign that read, "If you don't know, ask Hulda." And Hulda Horton has been recognized with numerous honors, including Chamber Person of the Year, induction into the Chamber Hall of Fame, selection as Stroll Parade Marshal, and being named Salado Historical Society Person of the Year. She demonstrated exceptional leadership as a volunteer at the Salado Art Fair and served twice as chairman for this significant community event. She received the prestigious Salado Masonic No. 296 Community Builder Award in recognition of her outstanding contributions. Served as a board member for nearly every organization in Salado, as well as being an active Lions Club member. Generously provided transportation for residents to doctor's appointments, hair salon appointments, grocery stores, airports, picked up prescriptions, and house set for pets. She remained dedicated to her community connections, attending her Monday morning coffee club the day before her passing. And whereas the Village of Salado wishes to honor this remarkable woman whose knowledge, dedication, and spirit of service profoundly enriched our community. Now therefore, I, Bert Henry, Mayor of the Village of Salado, Texas, do hereby proclaim April 3rd as If You Don't Know, Ask Hulda Day in the Village of Salado, and call upon all citizens to recognize and celebrate the extraordinary life and legacy of Hulda Horton, whose unfailing service and deep knowledge of our community have made Salado a better place for all. A witness whereof I have hereunto set my hand and cause a seal for the Village of Salado to be affixed this 3rd day of April 2025. Bert Henry, Mayor, Village of Salado, Texas. Thank you all so much. Of course. Thank you. Come on around here. Come on, guys. Thank you. Thanks so much. All right, thank you. Okay, item 2, public comments. The Board of Aldermen welcomes comments from citizens on issues and items of concern not on the agenda. Those wishing to speak must sign in before the meeting begins and observe a 5-minute time limit when addressing the board. Speakers will have one opportunity to speak during this time period. Speakers desiring to speak on an agenda item will be allowed to speak when the agenda item is called. Inquiries about matters not listed on the agenda will either be directed to staff or placed on a future agenda for Alderman consideration. Ms. Linda Reynolds.
Linda Reynolds, 1110 Mill Creek Drive, Salado. You forgot on the things, when Judy Fields moved away, Hulda started giving me here Austin papers so I could do 2 crossword puzzles a day. So I really appreciated that, and I'm going to miss her for many reasons. I would like to say that we said the pledge to the state recently, and 189 years ago, Texas was a country, which I think is why we say the pledge to the state. My daddy was born down in Goliad, but I'm not a native Texan. But I do know that April the 21st, which our newspaper and the chamber says is first day of early voting, can't be because it's a holiday. It's San, however you pronounce it, Jacinto Day, April the 21st. So somebody's got to get the date straight so people don't show up to vote early on the holiday, I think, but maybe I'm wrong. I'm not a Texan, native Texan. I'd also like to say something about the P&Z, which I know is on the agenda later. There's been an oversight on that group for many months, and since I go to the meetings often, I would like to say that one person who's been an alternate since he first joined the board, Robert Schwint, who happens to be here tonight, has done an incredible job. He's very thoughtful, very caring. He focuses, he works hard. He's been a positive influence, I felt like, on the board, and he should be moved up from being an alternate, but the chairman of the board has never brought that before them to do. So I'm hoping you will suggest that to them because he's been a real positive force on the board. And I wanted to make sure you knew that about him. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else?
Scott Hamilton, 1213 Logan Boulevard. All right, so 2 parts to this. I'd like to rehash a discussion we had 2 weeks ago in this meeting, and then I have a comment about that, right? So there's a good discussion around the Salado exemption, the village exemption for property taxes. During that discussion, Alderman McDonald suggested like a workshop to kind of show, a sensitivity analysis on how if we just rip the Band-Aid off and cut the 20%, in one time we burn it down over 2 years, over 4 years, whatever it may be. He suggested that. I think that's on the agenda for next week, actually. So I encourage that information to get to the public. During that, Alderman Graham, you mentioned that this was going to be unfortunate for the next body to kind of show up and have to deal with that, right? And then, Mayor Burt, you said you were going to get it done in April. This is where kind of my rehashing changes to my comment. I firmly believe that this body shouldn't take that up until the Proposition A results are in on May 3rd. The results of May 3rd and what the village residents and taxpayers decide on the tax rate, 48 cents and change versus 36 cents and change, should be sufficient for what the village is going for. At least it was many months ago. At least it seemed that way. So all I'm saying and all I'm suggesting is that this body does not take that up in the month of April and takes it up in May, potentially and likely with 3 new faces on this board. And for full transparency, I am one of the 7 candidates. So I just want to make sure there's no gotchas of me hiding that. And with that, I thank you for your time.
Thank you. Anybody else? Nope. Item 3, consent agenda. A, approval of the minutes of March 20th, 2025 for the regular Board of Aldermen meeting. B, accept the resignation of Mr. Jeffrey McClure from the Planning and Zoning Commission. C, acknowledge receipt of petition for release from the Village of Salado's extraterritorial jurisdiction received on March 10th, 2025 from Ryan Dunlap. D, acknowledge receipt of petition for release from the Village of Salado's extraterritorial jurisdiction received on March 21st, 2025 from Thomas Andrews, managing member on behalf of Granite EP1 LLC. Mr. Del Rosa, you have anything you want to add to that?
No, ma'am.
Okay, Alderman Graham, you have any questions?
No question.
Alderman Hurst?
No questions.
Alderman McDonald?
No questions, Mayor. Thank you.
Mayor Pro Tem Bell? Any public comments on this? Nope. I'll open it up for motion.
Make a motion that we approve the consent agenda as presented.
Motion made by Alderman Graham to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
Second by Alderman Hurst. Any further discussion? Question called by Alderman McDonald. All in favor of approving the consent agenda as presented, say yes.
Yes. Yes.
Any opposed, say no. Any abstentions? That carries 4-0, Mr. Del Rosa. 4, discuss and consider possible action regarding any item removed from the consent agenda. There were none. 5, public hearing. Public hearing on amending section 2.2 of the zoning ordinance and moving this section to a standalone ordinance governing the Planning and Zoning Commission. Mr. Del Rosa?
Okay, Mayor and Alderman, before we have the public hearing and take comment on that, I am proposing, I wonder whose mic is. Yeah. Okay. There's some feedback, right?
I think it's me. He's a mouth breather, I guess.
Well, good. So I am proposing that when it comes to the Planning and Zoning Commission, that it be taken out of the zoning ordinance into a standalone. Okay. The zoning ordinance, you have a zoning board of adjustments that handles those kind of issues. There are different state statutes that handle zoning board of adjustments, Planning and Zoning Commission. When you have to make changes or do certain things when it comes to your advisory board, and I think that's part of the confusion. Many folks think that the Planning and Zoning Commission actually renders decisions and that they become final, and that is not the case here. They're an advisory board to the Board of Aldermen. We're proposing that rather than the members be selected haphazardly, because I can't describe how you've been doing it, that each one of the aldermen, excluding the mayor, be able to appoint a representative on that board, and they serve the same time period as that elected official, or at least that term, for 2 years. So therefore, more to the question of what Ms. Reynolds was saying about appointing anybody, I mean, we're about a month away, 6 weeks away, so if it was going to allow us, we already have some existing board members that have already exceeded their 2-year period, and they continue to stay in that position until their appointees or the replacements are named and appointed to those positions. So whether Mr. Schwint is considered by one of the future aldermen or so forth, I mean, again, we can have this discussion when we get to that agenda item. But it will certainly allow you some flexibility on who's attending, who represents which alderman, so you can have a conversation with your appointee about the direction you would like to take this village in. So that's probably the most important. One of the other things that you'll see in there is the agenda. I see agendas drafted. I don't have much say. The current ordinance doesn't. The staff that works for the village is accountable to my office. They work for me. I work for you. When I have advisory bodies that call out meetings or put agenda items that I have no knowledge, I'm not even sure where they're going, and is at the direction of the elected body. You 6, well, today you 5, but the 6 elected officials drive the direction of the city during their term. So it helps me put an agenda working with the Planning and Zoning Commission, working through my staff to make sure that we are headed in the direction and that they're headed in the direction that you choose to go in. So having said that, Mayor, I'll turn it back over to you for the.
So for clarification, this takes it takes it out of my hands as far as me having any input on who to select in that selection process. Each member of the board has their own select. Of course, the board will vote to approve it, but they all have their individual selections. Takes me out of it. So this is not what is the word? My dictatorial impulses. This has nothing to do with that. I'm taking it out of my hands. Correct?
That is correct.
And the reason for putting it on, to change it up to, for you to set the agenda was because there were things that were coming on the agenda continuously that the Board of Aldermen had already voted to disapprove, and they continued to put it on the P&Z agenda as a proposed whatever. There was no longer a proposed anything because the Board of Aldermen chose to eliminate it. Correct?
That is correct.
Okay. Alderman Graham, do you have anything you want to add?
Okay, so this is strictly a public hearing. We are taking action on this evening. Is that correct?
Yes, and we will not be taking action tonight, and the reason is because the public hearing is because we published it in the newspaper. We had already published it in the newspaper for the Planning and Zoning Commission. However, they felt to make it quorum, so therefore we've already published it again for an upcoming meeting. And after that Planning and Zoning Commission meeting, then it will be placed on the Board of Aldermen and then for action. We will not have another public hearing like this at a future BOA meeting, only when the agenda item comes up under the comment.
And so I'm clear, what we're truly talking about here with this public hearing is literally just amending section 2.2 and breaking out from the zoning ordinance that section to establish a separate ordinance dealing specifically with the commission itself. Is that correct?
That is correct. And for example, since the Planning and Zoning Commission adopts bylaws, they recommend it to the Board of Aldermen, and we amend that section of that ordinance without having to go through all of the requirements under the zoning requirements. It complicates and it puts that bureaucracy much longer to get things done.
Yeah, and it focuses the zoning ordinance specifically on zoning activities and removes those administrative pieces and puts them in an administratively focused or HR focused, if you will, organization ordinance. Is that correct? Okay, that's very clean. And then the ordinance that 2.2 would be pulled out of would still be used as a tool for the P&Z to conduct their business, correct? All right, no more questions.
Alderman Hurst.
Nope, he just answered my question. Thank you.
Alderman McDonald.
Generally speaking, Mr. De La Rosa, is this something new that communities are doing? In other words, are we recreating the wheel when it comes to how P&Zs are generally managed throughout other municipalities, or is there a commonality with this 2.2 breakout?
No, this is I don't think it's a big thing. There are better and more efficient ways to do it. The way you've been adopting ordinances, science, into some zoning like the historic district, rather than all you've got to jump to the roof, rather than just those planning zoning to the city, Board of Aldermen, the city council, we get something directly without a public hearing. It's a science matter. It's not a building setback. It's not an event that requires zoning issues. So, and when you put landscaping and zoning and that, those are the kind of things that I am looking at your ordinance to bring that to you want.
Thank you for answering my question. No further questions, man.
Mayor Pro Tem Bell.
Manny, what do you see as being the negatives to this? What's the downside to this? I mean, yeah, I mean, we're making a change. I mean, is this all positive, or is there something here that's got a downside? I mean,
positive things that 5 aldermen, mine is still there, but we get a point you can decide rather than if you all vote. There are things, and I think you might agree that you can't agree on a point If we agree on a point, sometimes it goes through several rounds before the majority needs to come up with something to say that. So sometimes we have to put these rules of how we're gonna process candidates.
Well, and that's happened with us. I mean, that happened with us very dramatically the last go around. And, I mean, it sounds to me what you're doing is you're establishing and putting governance in place over a commission and procedures where they previously did not exist.
So in this methodology, Alderman McDonald gets to put a person in front of the board, but the board as a whole still has to approve him through consensus. Okay, it's not that he gets to select a person, I get to select a person, Jason gets, so far. So the selection process is just putting the name forward for consideration.
Yes.
Okay.
And the term, and the first staggered, and the run with that all.
Okay. And this would happen at the beginning of each May, or after?
I said it for June 1 of it.
Okay. Good. Okay. All right. 6:52. I'll open it up to comments from the public.
Linda Reynolds, 1110 Mill Creek Drive. I wondered if, and maybe it's too late to do this, it seems to me that 2.2 and 2.3 should be in that pullout. 2.3 discusses the Zoning Board of Appeals. I think it's important for people on the Planning and Zoning Board to remember, number one, they weren't elected, they were selected by you all, and that you have 2 times when you could say, nah, we don't want to do what you're suggesting, both as a Board of Aldermen and as a Board of Appeals. And I remember talking to Mike Coggins about this, and I was thinking, gee, we should have a separate Board of Appeals, and he said, no, he wanted to be in charge of it. And I guess I understand that to some extent, but I wondered if 2.3 ought to be pulled out also. Just a thought, thank you.
Okay. Anyone else? Nope. All right, 6:53, public hearing is closed. Moving on. Item 6, discussion and possible action. A, discussion and possible action on approving resolution number 2025 TAC 04, a resolution of the Village of Salado, Texas, ratifying the adoption of the village's public improvement district policy. Mr. Del Rosa.
Okay, Mayor and Alderman, back in July 6th of 2023, you adopted a good policy by board minutes. This is Bernie Miller, the bond council, doing discussions with state bond, with state policy. There is certain correction, Ms. Michael, as you call now, actually, you're fairly assisting correction some typos and grammatical errors here. And you can explain that to the board. I did get it when I think the tax bill came out of the bill. Mr. Miller?
Gregory Miller, Bickerstaff, Gato Costa, Village Bond Council, and I apologize for the typos. Yeah, anyway, long story, I should not send out emails without having somebody else look at them before I do that. So I apologize for the inconvenience. I could blame Josh if he's better at it. So, but thank you for forbearing us on that. As Manny alluded to, and you all recall, you were all here, really some of you were here when we adopted the village PID policy back in 2024. That was adopted by voice vote. It was as a minute adoption, and Manny thought that it would be a good idea to do it by resolution, just to make sure that developers know that it's easy to find the village's intent, and anybody wishing to apply to create a PID knows exactly where to find that. That also creates a little bit more public awareness.
July 2023.
That's right, yeah. That was that long ago, yeah. Thank you. So, it's a couple of years. So that's what this is. If we want to revisit it and talk about any particular issues with that, I'd be glad to field any questions. But that's basically it.
We have probably 205 that we're working with Reverend Frank on the case that you're kidding. We have two of these developments, large projects of 200 acres, 400 acres, that are wanting to know what our big policy is. Why I still look for it.
Yeah.
It wasn't easily accessible on that side.
And I think it'll definitely help for when the petitions do come in, that they'll know exactly what the village is looking for.
Alderman Graham?
Just so I'm clear, what we're doing here is codifying an agreed upon PID policy which already exists, but doing it through resolution, and also that PID policy is standardized regardless of development. Is that correct?
Yes.
All that stuff's right. Okay, that's all
Alderman Hurst? Alderman McDonald?
You find 100% of your typos after you send an email. No further questions.
Yeah, I'm embarrassed about that.
Mayor Pro Tem Bell?
No.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Miller. Of course. I will open this up. Public comments? None? Okay. Appreciate you, sir. I'll open the floor for a motion.
I'll make a motion, we approve the resolution 2025-4 as presented.
Motion made to approve resolution number 2025-04 as presented by Mayor Pro Tem Bell,
Second.
seconded by Alderman Graham. Any further discussion?
Question.
Question called by Alderman Hurst. All in favor of approving resolution number 2025-04 as presented, say yes.
Yes.
Any opposed, say no. Any abstention? That carries 4-0. Mr. Del Rosa. B, discussion of possible action on engaging UMB Bank to serve as an underwriter or placement agent in connection with the potential issuance of municipal securities in conjunction with the financing of certain improvements regarding Mustang Springs Public Improvement District Number 1. Mr. Del Rosa.
Okay, Mayor Alderman, before the UMB representatives come up, the proposed underwriters, I'm recommending Brandon Miller will kind of fill you in on how we make the selection process is for underwriters and why, so that we can explain that.
Yeah, sure. Underwriting counts, it is a professional service. And so the selection process is unlike, say, you're doing road work, materials, or something like that. It is not you do not ask about the price, first off, because you're not trying to get the best value in terms of dollars. You're looking for a competent, qualified, and experienced professional. And so the solicitation process can take a number of forms. It could be reaching out to folks that you know and have a good, solid experience and seeing, checking their qualifications and going based off of that and then comparing it to other folks that you work for. And this can all be done in various forms. So it's basically competence, qualifications, experience, and then other things like comfort with working with the folks and knowing that they can get the job done based on the previous experience. Quick overview of what the underwriter does. The underwriter is responsible for marketing the bonds once the PID project is ready to be packaged and solicited for investment. A lot of the heavy lifting that they do is writing the preliminary limited offering memorandum, which is basically like a prospectus that you might see if you're investing in bonds or stocks or something like that. It describes the Village of Salado, the economics, the demographics, and then also talks about how the project fits in to the village's profile and where it's going. So that's, and I should mention one other thing. When you're putting together your PID development team, there's 3 sets of fiduciaries, meaning 3 different folks that have a duty of confidentiality, a duty of loyalty, a duty to place the village's interests above all the other interests. That is, I should say, 2. So that's your financial advisor, and that's your attorney. The underwriter is not a fiduciary to the village, so I just need to kind of make that clear, and that's not a bad thing. I just kind of want to highlight the different roles. But the underwriter does bring to bear a broad view of the market and is here to help the village do what it can to sell bonds to the public and put the village in the most positive and accurate light. So the underwriter is a very important partner to the village and where it's trying to go.
Okay, and now I have the representative come up. Mr. Miller mentioned that sometimes it's that relationship, so I've known, first gentleman business, often building to be, business there. But I've known Mr. McCarthy since 2011, former city manager, brought me to the City Manager Association here in Central Texas. Back then when he stepped down from the board. I knew him as a city manager in Midland when I was young. We both had dark hair. I was taller. But he was city manager in Chief Office when he stepped down. So he did the second bank, Real City first, then be 6 years now. He did a lot of bond underwriting for me down in South Texas. You might recall when I walked in, first time I saw $15 million financial advisor, and in that left the area back in 2012. It's like I can get to. We had a long relationship because we went in the same circle. I know who the others are. There, I forget the underwriters that I could recommend from. I prefer over others. At this stage, I am recommending GMC. So, they're not in the both. I did put in the transaction for representing any of it for the street market. So I will handle that.
Okay. Alderman Graham?
I don't have any questions right now.
Alderman Hurst?
I have no questions.
Alderman McDonald?
I do. Thank you for being here, gentlemen. It's good to meet you. Based on Mr. Gregory Miller's explanation of role and responsibility, my general question is simply this because I think I like to know. Because you don't have, and I'm just using my words, not probably the right words, layman's terms. You're there to sell the bonds to the public in general terms, correct? Am I saying that right? Right. All right. What is keeping you from, what rules or regulations are out there to keep you from misrepresenting the bond or underselling in that aspect?
It's really happened with Western oversight from the SEC and for the regulatory bodies, but as you mentioned, we don't have to fiduciary responsibility for you, but we do for the investors and to the marketplace. So, it's not just things to find, it's all level of security. Okay. You're responsible for marketing the security.
Functionally marketing, I understand that part.
And if I may add, we all function on repeat business, and if we were to do that, one, we'd be out of business because regulators would take us out, they'd remove our licenses. But second is, if that reputation were to get out, we would not be able to do business with others. We've had the privilege of underwriting your neighbors, Austin, Pflugerville, Hutto, Killeen, Round Rock, Temple, off the top of my head, in the last few years. So, and we've had repeat business. It's like I always say, 80% of your business is repeat business, and it's the same thing for us. And so we've had the privilege of doing that. And so it's the terminology that's used that your financial advisor has a fiduciary responsibility to you, and we have a fiduciary responsibility to the investors. We also have our own underwriters council, who's looking after all those to make sure the information that was provided by the city, by the PID is accurate, reflects the most, correct information that we have at the time. And so unfortunately, we have a lot of attorneys that have to be in a row because of the nature of the use, so to speak.
Thank you for answering my questions. No further questions, man.
Mayor Pro Tem Bell?
So, real quick, you're regulated by SEC, what other federal regulatory agencies y'all have to?
OCC, because we're a bank dealer, and
Y'all home office out of Kansas City?
Kansas City, Kansas, the capital markets division, which does the underwriting, is headquartered in Dallas, Texas.
Dallas, okay, that's what I'm saying, the tunnel here, is that?
So I'm in San Antonio.
Okay,
And
but your footprint is a Texas footprint for, do you handle capital markets outside of Texas too, I'm assuming?
We do trading and underwriting outside of Texas. But the majority of our business is in Texas. I've been in the Texas market since 1989. I actually came to believe that Chris Banks started this together in Texas 35 years ago. Just right ahead, came over to UMP 9 years ago. 25 years in, with Southwest Security / so we've been in Texas for a long time.
Okay. All right, thank you, gentlemen. I'm going to open this up for public comments. Anybody like to speak to this? No? Okay. Then I will open it up for a motion.
Make a motion to approve 6B as written.
Motion made by Alderman Hurst to approve item 6B as presented. Do I have a second? Second by Mayor Pro Tem Bell. Any further discussion?
Just one thing, for the benefit of the audience. Manny, who pays them for their services? So it's not coming out of the Village of Salado.
Question called by Mayor Pro Tem Bell. All in favor of approving item 6B as presented, say yes.
Yes.
Any opposed, say no. Any abstentions? That carries 4-0. C, discussion of possible action of approving resolution number 2025-03, a resolution of the Board of Aldermen of the Village of Salado, Texas, approving the submission of a grant application by the Village of Salado to the Office of the Texas Governor for the Communications Interoperability Grant. Is that Chief Field? There we go. What you got, Chief?
Mayor, members of the board, how are you tonight?
All right.
Good. One of my jobs as chief of police is to continually evaluate equipment. We've got a couple of radios, in-car radios that are beyond life. We can't get parts for them. If they were to go down, granted they are operating correctly now, but if they were to go down, we wouldn't be able to get parts for them. So I spoke with Mr. De La Rosa about this, and we came across an opportunity to apply for a criminal justice grant through the Office of the Governor. One of the steps for the grant is that we get a resolution from the governing board that you will be responsible for any matching funds. Now, this grant happens to be a zero matching fund grant. But with that being said, I'm asking for a resolution that says that you understand that this is a zero matching fund grant.
Okay. Alderman Graham?
No questions.
Alderman Hurst?
No question.
Alderman McDonald?
No questions, Chief. Thanks, man.
Mayor Pro Tem Bell? All right, thanks, Chief. Any public comments? Nope. All right, I'll entertain a motion.
Make a motion, we approve resolution number 2025-03 as written.
Motion made by Alderman Graham to approve item 6B, C, as presented.
Second.
Seconded by Alderman McDonald. Any further discussion?
Question?
Question called by Alderman Hurst. All in favor of approving item 6Z and the resolution number 2025-03 as presented, say yes.
Yes.
Any opposed, say no. Any abstentions? It carries 4-0. D, discussion and possible action on the Southern Oaks concept plan consisting of approximately 133.687 acres located southwest of the intersection of FM 2484 and Williams Road. The owner is Mrs. Tex Development Group, LLC. Ms. Pence.
Good evening, Mayor and Alderman.
Good evening.
So this evening, we have the Southern Oaks proposed subdivision concept plan in front of you, which is 133.687 acre tract of land with 345 proposed lots. The current property is located in the Bell County and the Salado ETJ. Residential subdivision proposes 261 lots with a total of 107.72 acres. There is also going to be townhome and commercial, giving us 84 proposed townhome lots and 10 commercial lots totaling 25.97 acres. The project will be built into 4 phases, with phase 1 beginning as residential, and that proposed timeline was spring or summer of 2025. The commercial and the townhomes will follow upon phase 1. The concept final plan approval is subject to meeting all of the Village of Salado's ordinances, zoning, and of course the annexation requirements. I also want to make note, which I'm sure that you're fully aware, Board of Aldermen, but duration of approval, the concept plan shall have an effective date of 2 years from the date of approval from the Board of Aldermen per our subdivision ordinance. And I do want to let you know that this project was presented to the Planning and Zoning Commission. The commission did have some conversation with the developer regarding questions on the parkland, commercial, and the traffic. P&Z did recommend approval. It was passed 3-0. And that is all that I have to report to you. And I do want to share with you that we do have the developer here. Once you get to that point, that he'll be happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Talk to me about traffic.
Okay,
Okay, fair enough.
Wait a second, is your mic on? I'm getting notifications that people can't hear you on YouTube.
Is that better?
Yeah.
Maybe just since I'm looking that way, this should help. So if Mr. Rosamond, if you, okay, if you'll step up, tell us about your concept plan. Thank you.
Good evening, Jeff. My name is Barry Rosen. I apologize for being dressed like a little leader. I just left the ball field and I had it back there. So, as they said, I'm part of the development of this property. I've got 2 other partners in this deal, but I'm here to answer any questions you guys have.
Alderman Graham?
My only concern, because we're going to have to stay with the subdivision ordinances and adhere to all that kind of stuff, so I'm less concerned about that with respect to the concept plan. But the thing, I mean, we had kids that graduated together. You know the deal. Williams Road gets busy, and it's gotten busier as time goes by. What will be the impact of the subdivision on Williams Road, and what are the other avenues out of and in outside of Williams Road?
So for this property right now, the only guaranteed outlet is Williams Road. So
okay.
We have it drawn to connect to Eagle Ranch that's already there. We've had communication with TxDOT regarding that, and they're interested in letting us do that, but that has not been approved as of now. They kind of wanted to table that. Actually, Commissioner Woodson, in that meeting that we had, I talked to them about that. So depending on how that goes, that piece right there could end up being a cul-de-sac, or hopefully it will be a connection. We have a lot to make that connection into Eagle Ranch. So that would just loop traffic 2484 Williams Drive. We also worked in agreement with the ISD. I sold them that 40 acres where the new high school is currently being built. So we have an agreement for 2 points of contact or connection with them. So there, that what you see on the north side of the plat there in the commercial area, that's actually a connection to the back side of the high school.
Okay. So there's opportunity to be connected in a place other than Williams Road. It just needs Bobby to grease the skids a little bit and make life better. Thank you, Bobby, I
we-
appreciate that.
We want to make sure, what they're trying to make sure of is that we're not adding any more traffic to 2484, because that's already a nightmare.
Yeah, it's kind of a balance of this.
So, that's kind of what they're looking at.
That's all I have.
So have you done a traffic impact study yet, or plan on doing one?
We haven't done one for this development, we've done one for Eagle Ranch, and there was no recommendations for that.
Mr. Rosemont,
Yes, sir.
when you talked about you did a traffic impact already, which one was that for?
That was for Eagle Ranch, it's an existing neighborhood, we have not done a traffic study for this property.
Okay, are you planning on doing such thing?
We were not.
We're not? Okay, and my general concern is, I understand where you're doing all this, we all can see it. I'm just looking at the inflated amount of traffic we're seeing on 2484, and yes, with respect to all development in our area. It's not about just the decision now, it's about how it's going to impact us in 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, and so forth. So, I think a traffic impact study could be plausible based on the conversation, based on the growth, but that's just my opinion at this point. Thank you.
Just to answer you on that, the reason that we opted not to do it in communication with all of our engineers and talking with the school and their engineers, we've met with them several times. What we're building there is not going to do anything that even comes close to what the school is doing. So when you look at traffic, the traffic, you know, if I shot myself in the foot by selling a school with 40 acres, that's, you know.
My respectful reply to that is that the school's not on the hook for the conversation. That's how I'm looking at it. Predictability is important, especially in this little village that's getting real big real fast, and all because of growth. So my concern is, again, back to the traffic, just as a respectful point of view. Thank you. No further questions.
Mayor Pro Tem Bell.
What is the lot size for these on an average?
They average 85 to 90 feet wide. They're about 135 feet deep on average. So they exceed your ordinance. They're all larger lots. So, for example, Drake's Landing over on Royal, those are all about 75 by 120. So these are all a bit larger. So they're not. There are some large lots in the back. The back part of the property is heavily treed area, so we're trying to keep as much of that as possible. So as you get back into phases 3 and 4, you can see the lots get larger. The front piece up there is just open pasture land for the most part. So the lots get a little bit bigger as they get back. So we do have some stuff that approaches half acre back there. For the most part, they're all 85 to 90 feet wide by approximately 130, 135 feet deep.
Are these lots going to tap our sewer system or not?
That's the plan, yes, sir.
Is that in writing or is that just the plan?
That's up to you guys, sir. That's what I'm
No,
here
I
for.
think it's up to both of us because,
Well, that's what that's our intent. That's what we're here for. If you guys accept this, accept the concept, then we're obviously going to annex in and make the connection.
I mean, that's a prerequisite to annexation anyway, is it not?
To connect to our sewer, it is.
okay, I'm done.
How many units is it? How many units is this thing?
261 residential lots for Southern Oaks community. And then there's 80, I believe the latest is 84 on the townhomes. Yes, 84 lots on the townhomes. That's going to have amenities. We intend on those to be fairly high-end townhomes. They're back off the road. Not going to be a high visibility. The Methodist Church purchased 5 acres that fronts the road. Then we have commercial property directly behind them, and then there's that property back there. So nice, fairly high-end townhome community right there.
The 280 residential lots?
261.
How many,
84 townhomes and 10 commercial lots. The houses right there, those lots, all the residential lots will end up being a little over 100,000 if the market holds what it's doing right now. So with that, the minimum square footages that we'll put out there and the building standards will write in the restrictions. It'd be hard pressed to build anything less than $500,000 in there. We're predicting that neighborhood will fall between $500,000 and $800,000.
you don't think with that number of added residents there, at 2 the Census Bureau says 2.7 per household. That's an additional 400 plus vehicles coming in and out of that neighborhood. And that's something eventually. You don't think that's going to have a traffic impact? I'm sure it will.
I think, so when I take a look at section 2.4, this, and forgive me, Mayor, but prior to plat approval, a traffic impact analysis has to be done.
Anything for more than 200 homes, so that is in that section, and it says on any proposed project or plat, right? You might recall even the school district had to do a traffic impact analysis, and they had to get their traffic off of Williams Road, which is why they had to change the configuration of how they and that was part of the things I was going to cover with you.
Yeah, so the stage we're in right now is concept plan approval, which is separate from plat approval. So down further in the process, it requires that traffic impact analysis to take place by our regulation. Is that correct?
Yes, sir. I was going to walk you through that. Yeah.
Well,
you did good.
Oh, only got 2 meetings left, but might as well caught up sometime, huh? All right. Sorry about that. Go ahead.
Yeah, let me kind of walk you through some of this. Jacob, go to the next slide. Let's zoom in on a little bit on some of this. That's the area of concern. You see the 2 roadways, east-west, connecting to Williams Road?
Yeah.
The northern, just south of the high school, and then the south. As you go west on the northern road, as soon as you clear that area, the commercial and the commercial lot on Williams Road, you go from a 100-foot right-of-way down to a 50-foot right-of-way with 84 townhomes. 50-foot right-of-way between townhomes and commercial. Okay. Yeah, it's a squeeze. So whether it makes the Eagle Heights or connection or not, so potentially you could have traffic coming from 2044, Eagle Heights, going through there and come out onto Williams. Okay, so that goes away, kind of concerns it, but that's fairly narrow. It's not even 60 feet, right? So we have options: 100, 80, 60, 50 road right-of-ways. Locals are usually 50 or 60, but not when there's commercial. Okay, so you have the same thing with the north-south that connects the north and south run. So on the east side of the townhouses. So now look at the 261 units. If you stay on the south roadway and it goes all the way to the back, all the way westward, you've got 2 points of exit. You either come out of the western side, head east, make a left, go up by the townhouses, go out to take the north exit or the southern exit. And then you see on the south exit or entrance off of Williams Road, you go a little bit west and you see a road that goes north-south. Everything's got to hit those 2 points for all of those 261 homes. And you've got a 50-foot right-of-way between the townhouses and the commercial on the roadway that goes north-south. So my only concern is those roadway widths, the requirement for a traffic impact analysis, and that's an awful lot of vehicles. So overall, it's not a bad concept. It's got some workings. I mean, so we thought it's a concept plan. It came into us like this. So I went through the ordinances. Go to the next slide, Jacob. So based on the information that's on the concept plan, this is where I got most of the information for the lot. So we're fairly good on those. 84 townhomes, I don't have enough information, but I suspect that they're not going to be sold, that they're going to be for rent, just like down here at Water's Edge. Again, I don't have that information, so are they buyers or are they transient traffic, okay? So as I started looking through just the information, go to the next slide, or next slide after that one. The ordinances require that you look at your comprehensive plan and you look at that top left-hand corner. This is kind of the whole, you'll see the bluish area, which is mixed use, and then the cream color, that's the next slide, thank you. That is the cream color is the low-density residential. So you have mixed use, and we're in that area. So mixed-use development, whether it's commercial and residential, but you have single-family, multifamily, and commercial. Okay, not a bad concept. I mean, it doesn't, but it doesn't. You know, if I was doing mixed use and saying that there's a school there, that there's multiple schools, high school, maybe the elementary school, I think is going to move up to new high school, and then you've got the junior high. What kind of commercial are you looking at? So you want commercial that's not going to disrupt that quality of life neighborhood. So not having any idea what that commercial is going to look like, you know, unless it's local retail, unless you do a true mixed-use development like what we're seeing now, what we see on Main Street, commercial first floor, and residential units on second floors. Clean operations. The proximity will minimize the number of bars or those type of establishments in that area. But again, overall, I like it. It is a mixed use. It'll work with our comprehensive plan. Go to the next slide. Yeah, and there's the legend, and that's where I saw the low density and the mixed use. So overall, that'll work. So let's do what I gave you in your packet. You'll see page 17. It's right after the plat that's in your packet. You'll see section 2.2 of the subdivision ordinance. Third paragraph down, any concept plan. And if the property is located within the village's corporate limits or ETJ, it shall be in accordance with the village's comprehensive plan. So we've addressed that. As you go through the pages, the next one I want you to look at is page 22. It's noted at the bottom of the pages there. Okay, there you're going to see, where it see letter lowercase h, lapse of plat approval. The lapse is the series of progress benchmarks for a project pursuant to the provisions of this section, or as follows: concept plan, submission of construction plat, and so forth. It just lays out what we need to do to keep moving this forward. Go to the next page, page 23. You're going to see 2.3, concept plan approval. Again, preliminary site plan, a land study, right? So there's no definition for land study, but if you look at the very last paragraph, this allows the village to plan for and closely coordinate the provision of public facilities and services, thereby potentially avoiding future problems such as undersized utility lines, inadequate roadway capacity, unanticipated shortfalls in the public services, and fiscal inefficiencies resulting from lack of planning and coordination. 261 homes, 84 apartments, and 10 relatively large commercial sites will put an impact on your wastewater system, and I have no information as to what those flows will be like, whether we have that capacity or it is. So it's one of our concerns. We have these same discussions. I mentioned earlier that we're having discussions with these large acreage. I was visiting, I actually toured the wastewater treatment plant. I didn't tour, I went to the wastewater treatment plant with engineers representing developers on how to make improvements, or do we look at alternative means to create this wastewater system utilizing our permit, and how that would work for these other large acreage sites. This is 133 acres, it's large. We've got a 200 and a 400 acres off of FM 2268 that I've already mentioned to you that we're looking at.
Well, Manny, I know that like the wastewater treatment plant that's over by QT that's privately owned, at some point in time, we were having a discussion about purchase of that and that servicing that side of I-35 with increased developments. Is there, on that side, is there a potential partnership maybe?
Yes,
that
those
looking
conversations are continuing to be had. They're interested. If I haven't shared a report with you, it's a boutique. It is not a conventional treatment facility. So they are not interested in running it. But whether we decide to move forward, that's another discussion. And we certainly would benefit, maybe not from that plant. We'd have a shelf life. But we could service that western area of I-35 or even north of the QT area, since even the city of Belton doesn't have wastewater services in there, and they need that as one of the services because Salado water can continue to go north. So we look at all of these developments, this one along with everything else that we're looking peripherally all around town. So those are the concerns. Now let me go to 2 pages, the next page, page 24, you'll see the letter C, purpose, as to why the concept plan is required, right? And that is where also if it doesn't, the next letter, the extent of the area that should be included in a concept plan. Let's go to the next page that follows that. It's number 55. And Alderman Graham, I think that's what you were reading, the lowercase c, traffic impact analysis. You'll see the third line down. Well, let me read it. Any proposed development project or plat involving a significant change to the proposed roadway alignment from that shown on the Village of Salado's transportation plan or involving a development of 200 or more dwelling units. So that automatically triggered the TIA, or traffic impact analysis. With that being said, I don't have enough information for me to make a recommendation to you. You'll need to decide whether you've got enough information.
Okay. Anything else, Mr. Rosen? Alderman Graham, you have any more questions?
As I read this, it looks like the TIA is not required for concept plan approval. Is that correct?
The TIA is, let me...
I mean, it's certainly required for plat approval.
No. It says, let me get back there. Traffic impact analysis, any proposed development or plat, and then the third line, involving the development of 200 or more dwelling units. It is a requirement.
Okay, to the concept plan approval.
That is.
It is. All right. I don't have any other questions. Thank you.
Alderman Hurst?
I have no questions.
Alderman McDonald?
No questions, Mayor. Thank you.
Mayor Pro Tem Bell?
So, Manny, approval of this would trigger an impact study?
Approval of it means basically you didn't have a study, and if aren't changes to this, you're pretty much stuck to it. And in that, I can't give you advice. I would not approve a plan that you don't have enough information or that it's going to create traffic like that. But I can't tell you what the numbers look like until I see it. But just based on what I'm seeing, I have questions about it. I like the concept. It will work. It's if the developer's willing to work with us on those concerns, and we see it, I think it. Look, wastewater, there's only 2 places you can go. The Village or the Collins family, Pampa Investments, right? If not, you can't get that density, right? So there's some negotiating, and we've done some negotiating, but we are strictly by the book, and we negotiate everything in writing. Yeah.
Okay. So, I mean, it sounds like we've got some things that we kind of got to work through and meet some certain requirements, make some adjustments left and right, and then we can.
Yeah. But if you accept this plan, it is the plan, and you are married to it. Remember, it says for 2 years. All right? So usually you accept something when there's minor changes. I don't consider these 50-foot right-of-ways minor.
No, that's.
If you don't meet your written standards, then we're happy to change it. That's something that's always hammered out in comments between engineers. So is it something that you have in writing, or is this a want by the village?
What's a want? No, well, I don't know. We don't have wants. It's got to meet the studies. It's got to meet industry standards. You know, there are planners. When it comes to this kind of stuff, I don't talk to engineers. They'll draw a line, and as long as they got a ruler and a curve, they'll put it anywhere. This is a planning discipline. These are planning decisions. So if the developer is wanting to move forward, I would table it, not deny it, take any action, so we can see what those concept plans may look like in the future. And that's an option.
We just need to know what you want. That's the whole purpose of having these conversations up front, so that way we didn't waste everybody's time to come here and do all this. So
no, it works better.
If we need to get a traffic study, we're happy to do that. You guys have comments that you want us to change some things, we're happy to take a look at that too. We're not, this isn't set in stone. We just need to know what you want. That's what we're here for. I'm a local guy. We're not doing anything right there on top of that school that's going to be detrimental to this community. I can promise you. I've said it before at this microphone. My kids go to that school. I'm going to be here a long time. I've been here a long time. We're not building garbage. I've built plenty of communities in this neighborhood that are in Salado. You guys can see what we do. Just tell me what you want. This doesn't have to be contentious. Just tell me what you want.
Yeah, no, Bear, I think.
Nobody's being contentious, so let's not start that. Nobody's being contentious. We're just asking questions.
Just tell me what you want.
Well, it's clearly defined in our subdivision ordinance exactly what we want. So I feel this is a little bit, we pulled the trigger on this too quick to get it to us. Look, because it's not ready it's not in accordance with our subdivision ordinances. So it does give us two options. Either we deny this thing right now, or we can table it until this gets corrected. But to say that, just tell us what you want. It's in our ordinances. It says.
Well, our engineers have designed it per your ordinance. That's why I asked, if the right-of-ways are designed per your ordinance. So if there's changes to the right-of-way that need to be done, then we just need that pointed out to us. Because they are designed per your ordinance. So they're not just doing this.
Well, I think it's fair enough to say that, there are some things that need some adjustments left and right, and we need to probably just come back to the table and tweak those things and table it for right now, and then revisit it once we've had those things that have been laid out squared away.
So are you guys going to give us direction on those things?
We're going to take a vote here in a minute. That's what we're going to do. What direction we're going to go with this. I need to open up the public comments first. Okay. You got anything else? Okay. All right. I'll open this up to public comment. Unless, Manny, you got anything else you want to add?
No, sir. Yeah,
okay.
I'm good.
I just wanted to remind you that you've okayed a 30,000 square foot building on the corner of Williams Road with 233 parking spaces already. You've okayed it. It's on its way, I think. So this is not an isolated nightmare in terms of traffic. We're already moving it into the nightmare phase with that 30,000 square foot building. I also feel strongly about there must be a west side sewer. Either the developer develops one, or you connect to Mr. Collins or something, but shoving more sewage under the highway and up the hill past the center of Salado, the stagecoach, the brewery, all those businesses that are keeping us going, is not very kind to do. We still have the apartment buildings connected. We don't know what else is going to be built with the sanctuary, the next phase of sanctuary that will be on the sewer also. And the fact is, Wildfire is still empty. It's for sale for millions of dollars. And at some point, somebody's going to want to put apartment buildings over there. And you have to provide them sewage with that sewer up the hill. So you got to think long and hard. The other thing is, in 1 month, 2 of you will be gone. And there will be 3 new aldermen who may have very strong feelings about development and traffic and high-density buildings. I know Manny have worked hard on this stuff, and it makes sense to some extent, but I think you should table at least until, you know, shoving things at the last minute onto the Board of Aldermen has been a history of that, year after year after year. I think you should sit back and think a little bit before proceeding with that, because as I said, you've got a 30,000 square foot building and 233 parking spaces with cars coming and going on Williams Road already in the works. Thank you.
The difference in that 30,000 square foot building and what we're looking at here is that that's an office building that's going to have approximately 100, a little over 100 employees. They're going to come in, and then you got more folks coming once a week for meetings. It's not an additional 400 plus cars there. It's 100, and they met all the subdivision requirements whenever they presented it. So there's a difference. Anybody else? Nope. All right, I'll open it up to a motion.
Make a motion that we table the Southern Oaks concept plan and give the developer and village administrator and planner an opportunity to sit down and address before mentioned concerns, as well as adherence to anything that may or may not be addressed that is within our subdivision ordinance, such as the traffic impact analysis. And then once those items have been addressed, then it can be ready for consideration by the board again.
Motion made by Alderman Graham to table for an indefinite period of time.
With those special caveats.
With those caveats. Do I have a second?
Second.
Seconded by Mayor Pro Tem Bell. Any further discussion?
Manny, what's the process from here?
Just meeting with their design group, discussing those right-of-ways. That TRA is going to be important in your wastewater analysis. You know, you can run some rough numbers on what you propose. You know, more to the point with Ms. Reynolds, we didn't know what was going to go into when DHR bought that tract, but that tract, that 10-acre tract is part of the Eagle Heights subdivision, the development agreement, right? Mm-hmm. We don't have a development agreement yet, but it came through a concept plan. So as soon as I start seeing some numbers, I mean, you know, their engineers will provide whatever they need for us to start looking at, and we'll make comments on that. The traffic, I mean, I want to know whether the townhomes are going to be apartment townhomes, or are they actually like condominiums? I mean, they sell them, right? It creates a different type of demographic. It creates a different type of traffic pattern, and the the proximity of these multi-tenants, you know, or if they're going to have young families, 50-foot right when you got commercial traffic, there's safety concerns, right? So I just need to kind of get a grasp and an idea of what's going to be something that we can present. And I'm sure somewhere along the way, it'll go back to the planning, zoning, when we go through the planning and all those things. If there's any negotiations or we start discussing wastewater or other ways to treat that, you're going to see more of this. And quite honestly, having more sewer plants is the discussion. The reason being is because the one we have sits on a hill. Yeah. It's costly. So,
thank you.
Okay. If there's any further discussion?
Question.
Question called by Alderman McDonald. All in favor of tabling the Southern Oaks concept plan until Mr. De La Rosa and Mr. Roseman folks can get together and Ms. Pence can work out some of the details. So all in favor say yes.
Yes. Yes.
Any opposed say no.
No.
Any abstentions?
Abstain.
That carries 2-1. Mr. De La Rosa with one abstention. What's your reason for abstention?
Oh, my spouse has issues with Drake's Lane.
Okay. Thank you. Anyway, Nick, we're gonna table that 2-1. E, discussion and possible action on terminating the contract for court fines and fees collection services, a contract with the law firm of Purdue, Brandon, Fielder, Collins, and Mott LLP.
Okay, you have a contract. The village has a contract that is dated May of 2016. We've never utilized it. I've seen emails from the law firm says, "Hey, we're your municipal courts fine collections law firm." So apparently they reached out when Kara was here. They reached out when Deborah was here. I was not aware that they reached out to Deborah. This was actually emailed to Ms. Pence and forwarded to me. Look, I'm not a big fan of using law firms to do our collections. I believe that we should utilize, we don't even do certain things in our courts, but if we do, we should utilize the Omni database. Our Encode system can send out the letters for, that generates the letters that you miss your court date, you owe the fine, those kind of things. We don't even have to, the system does that for us. We just haven't been very good at doing it for a number of years. Yeah. But it is my recommendation that they've not started. I had a conversation with our city attorney. We just got a problem. I can't remember the section, but we give the 30-day notice. If they started on any projects, they can close out over the next 6 months. They started on nothing. So I would like to get authorization from you to terminate the contract and close this out. And when we do need somebody to help us with with municipal court fine collections, I will come back to you.
Alderman Graham?
No questions.
Alderman Hurst?
No questions.
Alderman McDonald?
No questions, thank you.
Mayor Pro Tem Bell? No. Any public comments on this agenda item? None? Okay. I'll open it up for motion.
Make a motion to terminate the contract for court fines and fee collection services.
Motion made by Alderman Hurst to terminate the contract for court fines and fees, collection services, and the contract with law firm of Purdue, Brandon, Fielder, Collins, and Mott LLP.
Second.
Seconded by Alderman Graham. Any further discussion?
Question.
Question called by Alderman McDonald. All in favor of terminating the contract as presented, say yes.
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 Any opposed, say no. Any abstentions? That carries. Let's see all those 4-0. F, discussion and possible action on appointing one or more applicants to the Planning and Zoning Commission to fill unexpired terms.
Okay, this is just there for food and thought. So we've had 2 applicants, one from a local resident that happens to be in the room, and then another one from somebody that still lives in the city of Taylor. And as soon as his home is built in the summer, late summer, he would like to be considered, but he's got his application in. So again, I think we can make it through the elections. I would like for the newly elected folks to participate in that. Let them get kind of grasp this what we need. The ordinance that we're proposing or that I'm proposing is attached to the public hearing. Kind of gives us what we're going for. And if not, we can certainly address it or amend it at that time. But to appoint somebody now while we're so close to the elections, I don't think it would be prudent. So I wanted to put it there so we could have that discussion that I've had 2 applicants. And I would like the applicant pool to be more than that, and people that are qualified, and I don't even know how to explain what the qualifications would be. They have be interested, but what do they bring to that Planning and Zoning Commission that's going to help us move forward? Okay, Mayor, that's all I've got.
And if we wait till after the election, and to your point, it ties into
the terms.
The terms. So that was
exactly. Yes.
Okay. Alderman Graham.
No questions.
Alderman Hurst.
No questions.
Alderman McDonald.
No questions, Mayor. Thank you.
Mayor Pro Tem Bell.
None.
All right. Any public comments? Nope. All right. Do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion, we table this until after the general election for a new slate of officers to act upon.
Motion made by Mayor Pro Tem Bell to table this until after the upcoming election.
As an outgoing fella, I second that.
Seconded by...
Motion from the other outgoing fella.
Settle down. Motion made by Mayor Pro Tem Bell, seconded by Alderman Graham. Any further discussion?
Question.
Question called by Alderman Hurst. All in favor of tabling this item until after the election, say yes.
Yes.
Any opposed, say no. Any abstentions? Mr. De La Rosa, that carries 4-0. And that brings us to item 7, executive session. It is 7:51, and we are entering into executive session in accordance with, where are we at here? Texas Government Code. So 7:51, we are now in executive session. All right, 9:32, we are coming out of executive session and reconvening the regular Board of Aldermen meeting. Where we at here? Item 8A, discussion and possible action to deliberate the evaluation of village administrator. What do we decide on that? No action, but we need to
Table to the next meeting.
table to the next meeting, yeah. So, we need a motion for that? Manny?
No.
Okay. Item 7A, no action, we're gonna table that to the next meeting. 7B, pursuant to Texas Government Code, Section 551.087, deliberate an economic development proposal from the Salado Hospitality Investments, LLC. That one we're tabling also?
Yeah, I think I recommend that you table until after the May 2025 elections.
Okay. And we need a motion for that?
Yes.
Okay.
I'll make a motion that we table 7B until the second meeting in May.
Second.
Motion made by Mayor Pro Tem Bell to table to the second meeting in May, seconded by Alderman Graham. Any further discussion?
Question.
Question called by Alderman McDonald. All in favor for tabling it until the second meeting in May, say yes.
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 Any opposed, say no. Any abstentions? That carries 4-0. Mr. De La Rosa. C, pursuant to Texas Government Code, Section 551.071, consultation with attorney regarding Texas Tax Code, Section 11.13. And we are taking no action on that one at this time. Moving on to D, pursuant to Texas Government Code, Section 551.071, consultation with attorney regarding platting of land and the ETJ on a proposed interlocal agreement with Bell County. Manny, if you want to speak to this,
Yeah, I think we recommend that the mayor, Mayor Henry, reach out to Judge Blackburn on option 3.
Okay.
I'll make a motion that we instruct the mayor, and if needed, city administrator and attorney to meet with Judge Blackburn and present an interlocal agreement that we have constructed.
Motion made by Mayor Pro Tem Bell and seconded by Alderman McDonald. Any further discussion?
Question.
Question called by Alderman Graham. All in favor of me reaching out to...
Hey, Mayor, let me stop you there. Since we're actually taking action on this, public comments.
Yes, okay. I'll open this. Yeah, you're right. Any public comments on this item? Mr. Whitson, you want to get up here and talk about this? Okay. You guys have any questions for? Oh, all right. No public comments. Then what was the motion?
I made a motion that we instruct the mayor and possibly the city administrator and the village attorney to meet with Judge Blackburn on an interlocal agreement that we have instructed.
Okay. Motion made by Mayor Pro Tem Bell to me to have conversations with Judge Blackburn on the third option as presented by our legal counsel, Mr. Katz.
I second that.
Seconded by Alderman McDonald. Any further discussion?
Question.
Question called by Alderman Hurst. All in favor to move forward as presented, say yes.
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 Any opposed, say no. Any abstentions? 4-0, Manny. E, pursuant to Texas Government Code, Section 551.071, regarding Drake's Landing lift station located in Phase 1 and ownership by Drake's Land Development, LLC. And what we've done is an executive session to give Mr. Katz kind of some direction as to where we want to go with this. Is that, do we need a motion for that?
Yes.
I think the motion would be to direct the village attorney to negotiate acquisition.
I'll make a motion that the village attorney explore options and negotiate in regards to the lift station at Drake's Landing Development, LLC.
Second.
Motion made by Mayor Pro Tem Bell, seconded by Alderman Hurst. Any public comments on this item?
Question.
Okay, question called by Alderman Graham. All in favor of approving the motion by Mayor Pro Tem Bell and seconded by Alderman Hurst, say yes.
Yes.
Any opposed, say no. Any abstentions? That carries 4-0. Next item on the agenda is adjournment. There, motion.
Motion to adjourn.
So moved, 9:37.